And now the news with Abdiaziz Hashim.
Hello there, our dear viewers in Nairobi and as well as around the world. Welcome to News Desk, the program that brings you in-depth analysis into global issues in the confines of politics, sports, economics, arts and culture. But before we do start, let's have the highlights.
5 KCSE examination candidates were deregistered by the Kenya National Examination Council over cheating allegations. 40 teachers will be disciplined over the irregularities. The candidates have been discontinued from sitting the exam, where Education CS Amina Mohammed reiterated other officials that may be punished include center managers that do not do what is expected. Private schools were cited as being vulnerable to teaching as administrators hire unqualified people as invigilators. Defending champions Manchester City stayed top of the English Premier League with an emphatic 3-1 victory over Manchester United that emphasized the current gulf in class between the two city rivals. City's victory was sealed by a memorable team goal from Ilkay Gundogan, the German finding the net after a 44-pass move to send his side 2 points clear in the standings ahead of Liverpool, which beat bottom club Fulham 2-0 earlier. Facebook has delayed plans to make people who buy political adverts verify their identity. In a statement, it said the delay was necessary because some people were trying to game the ID system. Weaknesses were exposed by news companies who posed as US politicians, terror groups, and other banned organizations. This scrutiny comes after the Cambridge Analytica fiasco.
The 21st century is truly the era of information, and with the help of social media, it has truly distinguished itself from the past generations. Thanks to this platform, social media has taken up the mantle of the newsrooms, establishing themselves as a worthy news source. Major political debates, statements, and news take on social media. One of the largest online platforms being Facebook, with over 2.2 billion monthly active users, is now a newsworthy content source. Nearly 48% of people get their news from Facebook, and close to the same number get their news from TV. You can join our online conversation through my Twitter handle at AbdiazizHashim1 and on Facebook at AbdiazizHashim, and I'll be sure to sample some of them. And the bigger question today is online platform a game changer to the political spectrum? Using the hashtag NewsDesk. I can see some of your comments are streaming in, and at Timothy Zawadi, he says that online platform is a game changer in the political landscape, and that is why most politicians use them to communicate to their supporters and hold debates. Our correspondent Juan Bataru was on the ground to file in the following report.
Social media has truly revolutionized our generation, where watching political debates, discourses, and politicians on TV is a thing of the past, and engaging key political issues online is the way to go. One of the largest online platforms, Facebook, with 2.2 billion monthly active users, is now widely used as a source for news. Nearly 48% of people access news on Facebook, and close to the same number get their news from TV. Ivy Kavai remarks that using such platforms for hard news is faster and convenient.
I get most of my political news in online platforms, Twitter mostly, but Facebook is also a reliable platform. I opt to get my news online because breaking news tends to trend fast before it's taken out to the television stations.
This has led to the emergence of companies that seek data to shape the political opinion of people. Firms like Cambridge Analytica collect personal data from Facebook users by luring them to log on to their apps. Once a Facebook user logs on to any of their apps that are placed all over Facebook, the firm can closely monitor the persons and their social circles, learning their behaviors, likes, and dislikes. From that, they can formulate what the user wants to hear. This information can be given to politicians. Neema Tieno believes that acquiring news events from social platforms is not safe, and so she relies on TV for news.
I mostly get my political news from television stations. This is because they are more credible. Yeah. Social media, I really don't like social media because the news there might be just rumors or it might be fake news, and I don't want to be misled. Yeah.
Top executives at Cambridge Analytica, the UK-based firm, got embroiled in a controversy over the mining of Facebook user data, and they were secretly recorded describing the stealthy methods they used to help get Donald Trump elected. The company's influence stretched its arm out into other elections, and Kenya was there for the reach. Adverts running on television raised questions on where they came from and who was making them. But the current key question is, has the company opened a Pandora's box, allowing politicians to use information on social media to win and further their causes? Reporting for Newsdesk, I am Joanne Mbataru.
Our correspondent Joanne Bataru is joining us live from Nairobi. Joanne, what is the latest from your end?
Well, on the ground, that percentage is slightly higher on Twitter than on Facebook. This is because of cases of fake news being spread on Facebook, and also the lack of attribution of who was the initial or initiator of that news. So you find that on Twitter, the different news outlets actually have Twitter handles, so it's easier for them to break stories as they break rather than depending on citizen journalism.
That was our correspondent Joanne Bataru reporting from the ground. Thank you, Joanne. Let's take a look at some of your comments on Facebook and at Cynthia. She says, I get my political news from social media because stories tend to break on these platforms, and if media houses take stories from social media, it means the stories are credible. My experts are joining me live to put this issue into perspective. First is Mr. Sami Baraza. He is a current youth leader in Bungoma County and also a former MCA aspirant in the last election. Welcome to the program, Mr. Baraza.
Thank you so much.
And also joining us is Mr. Gideon Kisini. He is an economic advisor to the Governor's Office of Machakos County. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you. Happy.
And finally, Mr. Hesbon Owila. He is a political communication consultant. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Abdulaziz.
Thank you all for joining us today. Let me start with you, Mr. Sami Baraza, since you're a politician. Do you think online platform can be a game changer in the political spectrum?
I do believe that online platform is a game changer to political platforms, in that the majority of the people worldwide are the youth, and the youth have a say when it comes to whoever they want them to be led, or whoever they want them to lead them. So to me, it's a game changer.
And don't you think, sir, this will lead to more unfulfilled promises from the politicians?
It's more or less, but politicians are just politicians. Mostly they want what they want, and when they've gotten what they want, they may or they may not even fulfill their promises, because this is just a platform to articulate the issues to be heard and to be elected. And once everything's done, some or a few of them might come back and give back even to the society or the youth that voted them in.
And finally, sir, sorry for putting you on the spot. You know, companies like Cambridge Analytica mine data. Are you going to use, or are you thinking of using such kind of information to manipulate the electorate in the next coming elections? And do you think also politicians are going to use such kinds of information to get what they want?
It's not safe, it's very illegal. You know, that's like intruding to somebody's private affairs. You know, when the company goes to an extent of extorting private information from the youth side or the voters side without the consent, that's very illegal. So I'm very much against it. or if they have to do, then they have to get the consent from the youth. It's very needed.
Let me also bring in Mr. Gideon. I'm going to ask you on the same notion that I asked Mr. Sami Baraza. Do you think online platforms can be a game changer in the political spectrum?
It is a game changer. Yes, it is a game changer. That is evident in the elections that have been happening since in the 21st century. All elections have been influenced by the media, they have been influenced by technology. So it is a game changer. And it's gonna be a game changer in the coming elections, and I think all elections that have to come before that.
And on the notion of who benefits, don't you think it's one-sided?
In Kenyatta's time, it was about, were you fighting for independence or not? I remember my first MP, Paul Ngei. He was not voted in because he was better. He was not voted in because he could change. He was not voted in because he was more educated. No, he was voted in because it was perceived that he was in the Mau Mau. He was fighting for independence. That is what gave him legitimacy. You come to Kenyatta's, to Moi's time. It was inheritance, nyayo. It took it from the previous. So it was believed there was no one better to serve us than this person. So it came to Kibaki's time. Now people were more educated. People now were looking at, we want someone who can give us economic growth. We want someone who can bring us together. Now information started kicking in.
And also on that notion, don't you think this will lead to more unfulfilled promises from the politicians?
It's like an advert on TV. You sing this beautiful advert about maybe a foodstuff or something. But actually when you go and buy that foodstuff or get that commodity, it's not what you expected. What you saw on TV is different from what you are receiving in reality. So how did we get there? Right now, as we're speaking, almost 85% of the population in this country are the youth. And what are the youth, what are people doing mostly? They're on social media, WhatsApp, they're there on Facebook, Instagram.
And finally, let me bring in Mr. Hesbon Owila. Mr. Owila, we have clearly highlighted, or from the past political analyst, Mr. Sami Baraza, and according to Mr. Gideon, online platform is a game changer. What does this mean for the political landscape itself?
Well, it simply means that the next generation of politicians will have to contend with the fact that there is an additional platform that is a lot more democratic, where the electorate are likely to be looking for information, and most importantly are likely to be interrogating the political class. So politicians must be alive to the fact that they need to be in control of this online space. They need to have their conversations. They need to have the messages that they want to get to the electorate, through this platform that is a lot more democratic. Now, failure to do that means that they can easily, be framed by their political rival.
And if so, sir, is it safe to have these kinds of conversation on social media platforms, knowing that companies like Cambridge Analytica or any other company that seeks to mine data are out there?
Companies that can mine data, online data, coming into the political space, you get a situation where politicians are likely to get a lot of information about the electorate in which case they're likely to understand what the electorate needs to be told. And that puts politicians in a position where they will be telling the electorate a lot of things, including things that they cannot deliver because they have information on what the electorate wants. So that is one, and you might actually say that if you're dealing with an electorate that is not tech savvy, that is not well informed, that politicians can easily get away with a lot of promises that they cannot fulfill because they have a lot of information about the electorate. And on the flip side, and in a democracy like Kenya, where the electorate is a lot more informed, a lot more engaging, I think even with this information, the electorate is well poised.
So what recommendations are you offering to create a conducive environment on these online platforms to have these political discourses?
But you look at the Kenyan situation, people have taken positions. I mean, our politics is so tribal that you can easily tell that people are going to vote along tribal lines, especially if they're not well informed. So whether you tell them that their person is dangerous or not, they'll vote for him because of tribe. Then the third key issue is that Kenyans are a lot more informed, educated and sophisticated. So any Kenyan who is not going to vote along tribal lines cannot be swayed by malicious propaganda. They are a lot more informed, they understand politics, and they are probably a small elite or a small group that will vote based on information. And these underhand tactics probably, did not have a significant impact, and they may not even have a significant impact in the coming election.
Well, I'm afraid we have to stop it right there. Mr. Gideon, Mr. Sami Baraza, and Mr. Hesbon Owila, thank you for coming in. Now let's take a look at some of your comments on social media, and at Faith Kaulu. She says that everything has both positives and negative, and as much as we have to be wary of companies that mine data to shape the political decision of the electorate, the fact remains that social media is here to stay. Welcome to my talk. We live in an era where information is power, and it's within our human nature to want power. Social media has truly encapsulated our world into a global village that has brought us together. Companies like Cambridge Analytica or any other company that seeks to mine data to change the political mindset of the electorate, do I think they will relent? No, I don't think so. I mean, you can't argue with some of their results. They have placed candidates on their presidency seat and made large conglomerate companies to reach their economic gains. Do I think that social media has truly changed the political spectrum? Yes, I do. Well, I'm afraid we have to stop it right there. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. Do join me next week, same time, same place, for another nail-biting segment. Goodbye.